Hello children, today we are doing the chapter Be Prepared by Ruskin Bond. So before we start the chapter, we should know who is Ruskin Bond. So Ruskin Bond is one of India's best loved storytellers. He has spent most of his life in Dehradun and loves writing about the hills, his childhood and the different animals he has known. Some of his most popular works are The Room on the Roof and Our Trees Still Grow in Dehra. He now lives in Landour, Missouri. Now children, in this chapter, be prepared, and I've already told you that in his writings he has written about the hills, about his childhood and the different animals he has known. So in Be Prepared, he is talking about his childhood and he is telling us about his school days. Children, today we are doing the chapter Be Prepared by Ruskin Bond. So before we begin this chapter, we have to understand what is Be Prepared. I am going to narrate the whole story. I am narrating the story because this chapter is given in the first person. Why it is given in the first person? Because Ruskin Bond is telling his story as a child. When he was a child like you. When he was a schoolboy. So, be prepared. Now, what is be prepared? In the Boy Scouts, this motto means you must always be prepared to do your duty. You should always be prepared to do your duties. Now, here Ruskin is starting his story as a school child. Be prepared. That is the Boy Scout motto. But I never seem to be well prepared for anything, be it an exam or a journey. So he is telling in the story that he was never prepared for anything. So how did I survive as a Boy Scout? Now he is asking the question. Still he survived as a Boy Scout. That means still he was a part of his team. Still he was the part of the scout. Now, how did he do that? So, it seems a rumor had gone around the junior school that I was a good cook. I had never cooked anything in my life, but I had spent a lot of time in the tuck shop making suggestions to and encouraging Chimpu, the tuck shop owner, to make more and better samosas, jalebis, tikkis and pakoras. With this qualification, I won a cookery badge and was put in charge of our Boy Scout troops' supply of rations. So, because he was making suggestions to the tuck shop owner, he won this badge. There were about 20 of us in our troop. During the summer break, our scoutmaster, Mr. Oliver, took us on a camping expedition to a mountain. So, here started our camp. The first night, we were put to work peeling potatoes, skinning onions, shelling peas and pounding masalas. When the ingredients were ready, I was asked what should be done with them. Put everything in that big dekchi. What is dekchi? Dekchi is a rounded pot used for cooking. I ordered. Pour half a tin of ghee over the lot. Add some nettle leaves and cook for half an hour. When this was done, everyone had a taste and agreed that the dish lacked something. More salt, I suggested. But the dish still lacked something. Add a cup of sugar, I ordered, and a bottle of tomato sauce. The dish was a great success. Even Mr. Oliver, who had no idea what had gone into it, enjoyed it. What's this called? He asked. The Bond Bhujia, said one of the boys. I had earned my cookery badge. The next day, Mr. Oliver told us he would teach us tracking. Taking a half-hour head start, we walked into the forest, leaving a trail of broken twigs, pine cones and chestnuts behind him. We were to follow the trail until we found him. So children, what is trail? Trail? What is trail? Marks left behind by a person or an animal which show that they have been there. These marks are used to find them. To follow Mr. Oliver, we were supposed to follow the trail. Unfortunately, we were not good trackers. We did follow Mr. Oliver's trail some way into the forest, but then we were distracted by a pool of clear water. We jumped in and romped about, enjoying the sunshine. What is romp? Romp is enjoying, playing. So now they were into this river. They forgot what were the instructions given to them by Mr. Oliver, and now they were enjoying this river. Hours later, feeling hungry, we returned to our campsite and prepared the meal. It was burnt bhujia again, but with a few variations. It was burnt bhujia again, but with a few variations. It was growing dark and we were beginning to worry about Mr. Oliver's whereabouts when he limped into the camp. He had waited for us at the far end of the forest for a couple of hours. Then he decided to return but got lost in the gathering gloom. Village folk finally helped him back to the camp. He was very angry and made us return all our badges, including my kukri badge. So Mr. Oliver, he was very disappointed and he took back our badges. So my kukri badge was given back to Mr. Oliver. An hour later, when we were all preparing to get into our sleeping bags for the night, Mr. Oliver called out, "Where's dinner?" We've had ours, said one of the boys. "Everything is finished, sir." "Where's Bond? He is the cook." "Bond, get up and make an omelette." "I can't, sir." "Why not?" "You have my badge. Not allowed to cook without it. Scout rule, sir." So, Ruskin Bond told Mr. Oliver that it was the scout rule and without the badge he could not cook. "I have never heard of such a rule, but you can take your badges, all of you. We return to school tomorrow." Mr. Oliver returned to his tent in a huff, but I relented and made him a grand omelette, garnishing it with dandelion leaves and a chili. "Never had such an omelette before," said Mr. Oliver. "Would you like another, sir?" "Tomorrow, Bond, tomorrow. We'll breakfast early tomorrow." But we had to break up our camp in the early hours of the next morning. So here, children, Mr. Oliver really enjoyed the omelette made by Ruskin Bond. A bear had wandered into our camp, entered the tent where our stores were kept, and created havoc with all our provisions, even rolling our biggest dekchi down the hillside. So he threw the dekchi in which we used to cook. In the confusion and uproar that followed, the bear entered Mr. Oliver's tent and came out entangled in his dressing gown. So, who was wearing Mr. Oliver's gown? The bear. It then made off towards the forest, a comical sight in its borrowed clothes. And though we were a troop of brave little scouts, we thought it better to let the bear keep its gown. Thank you.